host for this fun little jaunt through the apocalypse that we call Darksiders. But before we get to Heny's run, we have a $10 donation from a beaver in a bee suit that says donating $10 because he pet the cat. Also for cancer research, but also cat pet. And I don't want to waste any more time. It looks like Heny is ready, so we are all going to enjoy this phenomenal run of Darksiders, all chosen bosses, run by Heny. Heny, the floor is yours.
All right. Hey, I'm Heny, and I'm gonna run Darksiders 1 for you today. We're playing on the Wall-Mastered Edition, which is kind of a remaster. It runs much smoother and is just more comfortable to run. It doesn't really change much timing-wise, and yeah, I only run this game for a couple of years, but I have someone with me who has a lot more experience than me. Maybe you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Aftermath. I've been running this game on and off for about 8 years now, so just have a lot of useless knowledge and hopefully be able to provide some commentary for the run.
All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna play on Apocalyptic. It doesn't really matter which difficulty we choose because yeah, it's just enemy damage output that is changed, and it's kind of a meme. And time will start in like 3 seconds once we get control. 2, 1, go. So first things first, we have to throw or get this cap throw off here. We're gonna do that by throwing the pole. And then we want to transform into chaos form. Like normally you would need to fight the minions first to get like the card thrower down here, but because of how the AI works, throwing the pole at him makes him come down. And yeah.
So in this section, you'll see him use Z targeting to target an enemy and then dash back really quickly. In this game, if you hold left click while targeting an enemy and just mash dash, you're able to cancel the two back and forth and just dash really quickly, which we call sword dashing. It requires an enemy, so there's some areas where we can make use of it and others that we can't. So you saw him just throw a van there. What that does is work as a makeshift platform, which we can then use to jump up on some invisible platforms on this golem, which lets us skip a cutscene trigger, which would normally take away some of our abilities. So it's going to let us keep the chaos form for the rest of the prologue, along with taking extra health into the main part of the run. Here he lines up another precise throw with the van to try to act as a platform, and then grabs a car to use for the next glitch. So with the cars, if you throw them against a wall at a certain distance and the car goes from its normal state to damaged state, the door will reload itself, and what you want is that the body of the car is on one side of the wall and the door is on the other. Then you can see that the physics doesn't know what to do, and it just kind of stays locked in place and you can jump on it, skipping another fight of the prologue.
Exactly, and we're gonna come up to another fight skip very soon. But first we have to climb across this rope and send this vine section. There's some enemies on there which sometimes can get in your way. It's pretty annoying, but not a too big deal, just a tiny waste of time. Oops. Right, so now we wanted to just get up here and hope for the best. They were kind of nice.
Yeah. Then this is called Fourth Fight Skip. There was originally 4 fights in the prologue, and then we found skips for all of them. This one we found an additional skip to improve it, so it's Fourth Fight Skip.
Yeah, and that takes us to Straga, which is the first real boss of the game. We're gonna see Straga again later. But yeah, normally Fourth Fight Skip takes, or like whatever happens there takes away some abilities. But because we did the skip, it didn't, and we can just go into chaos form here, and we're going to use that to basically put some cars in this corner, standing specifically in this spot. Oh god, that's really far away. Let's see if we can still somehow... We want to have 2 sets of 3 cars. Yeah, 3 sets of 2 cars. Okay, that one is pretty far away as well. I think this should hopefully be fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw these at him.
So between each time you throw 2 cars at him, he'll slam down to the ground and normally would destroy your cars. But the hitbox doesn't extend off to that little corner over there, so we're able to safely tuck away some cars to basically skip the normal attack phases the boss has and just stagger him to the ground really quickly each time. He just has to be a little bit careful with the timing of his throws so that it doesn't go too early.
Right, I'm glad he didn't destroy any of the cars because that's kind of a time waste. But yeah, that was nice.
And you notice Heny's textures look pretty bad. The reason for that is that he's just playing on very low texture quality. That way, when we're out of bounds later in the run, or just kind of playing in general, if anything loads in, it doesn't lower the frame rate momentarily and cause him to drop any inputs.
All right, so here we will just grab our blade, the main blade. We're gonna upgrade that one later. Yeah, not really much going on here. So maybe if there are some donations, you could read one or two out.
Absolutely. We have a $25 anonymous donation that says, normally I'd say kill the animals, save the frames, but since it's faster to spare Parthnurax, excuse me, let the big lizard live. And just a quick update. For the Skyrim run, we are currently sitting at 1465 for spare, 555 for kill. So if you want to make sure that you have a chance to influence whether or not we're going to spare or kill Parthnurax, make sure you get those donations in quick.
Did we already explain sword dashing?
Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, you can see he's using it again there. Again, just by holding left click to start an attack and then mashing dash while Z targeting, you're able to cancel and move quickly. So here he's going to be coming up to the second car glitch. This one he has to hit once before he grabs it. Reason being that he needs the HP of the car low enough that throwing it into the wall is going to move it to the damage state. This one's a little bit finicky as far as distance goes, so you can see he just lines it up there. And then this skips kind of running around the room and doing a couple different fights. And then once he jumps up on these vines, he's coming to pillar jump. So this is another puzzle room, but by using this conveniently placed pillar, we're able to jump and grab an edge, which then takes us to the end of the room and just sword dash our way off to the vines.
Yeah, these vines are a bit weird sometimes. As you can see there, like I'm getting stuck in the corner, kind of hitboxes or so, but in the end we just want to get up here, and this takes us to a mini-boss. We first have to get rid of some mobs here though to like start the fight, and to do that we're gonna use a technique called sword cancelling, which works by interrupting the sword's animation by blocking slash just dashing. And we want to be kind of careful here to not destroy the furniture. I think Aftermath might explain why that is.
Yeah, so even though sword canceling's the best way we have to deal damage with the sword currently, we're so weak that just tables and chairs laying around the room deal more damage than this like God of War. So we're just going to be picking up everything that we see and throwing it at the blue demon. And yeah, you'll see that makes pretty short work of him, and then just a few sword hits to finish him off.
Right, and now we just have to like get to the exit here, which takes us to Crossroads. But first we're gonna abuse the enemy's position to dash here around them. There's like a couple of different types of dashing. One is like just locking onto enemies, and this is like for now the fastest way.
Yep. So this section's a little bit interesting. The goal here is to grab 500 souls, the currency in this game, and turn that into Vulgrim to kind of get the next quest. There's an Easter egg in this zone though, where if you destroy 5 fire hydrants that are kind of scattered around the map, it'll spawn a chest with 500 souls in it. So what we're doing is picking up all the objects we can, throwing them at these distant fire hydrants in order to kind of break them really quickly and get our 500 souls. You'll notice that he jumps around quite a bit. The reason for that is if he's hit by a zombie, then War will drop his item, but if he's jumping, it won't knock him out of it. And you got kind of an unfortunate glitch there. Sometimes that very first hydrant doesn't register correctly, but if you break everything and then save and reload, it should have the chest appear.
Yeah, kind of a fail-safe or backup in case that happens, because like the hitbox of the first throw is like really insanely precise. So it's nice that I can still save this. And here we're gonna go back to Vulgrim to yeah, give those swords to him. And we're gonna get the horn. Have to equip it. And with this horn we can open the gates. And yeah, we're gonna do that a couple of times during the run. But there's also spots where we want to avoid triggering the gate, but we'll come to that later.
Yeah. And so that horn is the first kind of like analog to like a Zelda item that you have in this game. This game takes after Zelda quite a bit. And so we'll be collecting them in each dungeon, and War can equip up to 3 at a time.
Yeah, and here's another form of dashing. It's called heny dashing. Want to explain why it's called like that?
Yeah, it's called heny dashing because I found it while watching a heny stream, and so I called it heny dashing. And there's no
Makes
real
total sense to me.
There's no better reason for it. And in this game, whoever finds it generally names it, so nothing really makes sense as far as naming scheme goes.
All right, so this is the general fight. Yeah, I think you can explain this while I try to focus.
Yeah. So this is kind of this is the first bit of small RNG in the game. What we want to do is try to immediately knock back the general with the horn, and then hit him until he summons these minions. There's 2 waves of 4 minions. We want to use sword canceling and try to bunch them up as best as possible, and then use our special ability Blade Geyser in order to kill them in 1 hit. They can either run towards you or run away, so you just want to bunch them up as best you can and then kill them. Once that's done, the general charges you, and you want to just use sword canceling and try to dodge all of his attacks in order to take him down. You'll see the low HP prompt pop up here, but we don't want to take it because when you do the cutscene kill, not only is it slower here, but it also gives you fewer blue souls, and we need to get 200 of those blue souls in order to buy an item from the shopkeeper up ahead.
And right now we have like a pretty hard puzzle. We have to push the statues towards the middle, so I guess like that's a good spot for 1 or 2 more donations.
Absolutely. We have a $5 donation from Zets. It says, "Hello, dear retired Doom Runner. This is your friend Zets. This was going to be a meme donation, but just wanted to say that you're an awesome person. Keep going. Zets out."
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You too.
We also have a $1,000 anonymous donation.
Crazy.
No comment provided, but thank you so much for that very, very generous donation to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Time for one more quick one?
Sure.
We have a $25 donation from the Andersons that just says $5 train because GDQ? I don't see why not.
Alright, so Valgrim, we want to buy an ability here, which is called Meteor Strike and allows us to do a dash in midair. And that's really useful for certain skips, but as well like general movement later in the game. We'll come to that when it's time. But for now, like Meteor Strikes allows us to skip huge chunks of the first half hour of the run, or the game rather. Exactly, so we need 200 souls for that. Luckily we had those. Sometimes you don't have enough souls because there's a bit of RNG and like depending on how many spawns you get during the general fight, you sometimes have like 195 or so. But yeah, we got good there. We were good there, and yeah. So the next goal is now to go through this lava cave here. And there's an interesting thing you can do here with these double jump refreshers, or however you want to call them. If you go low enough, you can basically get another really low jump, but I'm not going for that because it's pretty risky.
And you can see that the sword dashing there, when we use it, we try to make use of the enemies as long as we can. Yeah, that jump's kind of hard. Normally what happens is you'll do the air dash and it goes straight into the ground, but you can get unlucky with jumping onto that invisible platform and bounce off of the wall. In this early part of the run, if we do a bounce like that and we're out of bounds, we have to reload. But luckily here, it's not too bad. We can just get set back up on top of the cliff. So that's how it's supposed to go. It's just a little bit finicky if you're in the wrong part of the invisible platform. And then here, what he's going to be doing is jumping up towards the ceiling here. There's actually a checkpoint for the next zone that extends through the roof. So we're able to just warp upward. And then you'll want to use your potion here. The bottle that the potion comes in, we'll be buying an item that's going to fill it. So at some point during the run, we just need to make sure to use that health potion to clear it out.
I think 1 second. So yeah, here I'm using some enemies again to dash towards another gate. This gate we want to activate and then load the checkpoint or load the autosave, because that way we will trigger the next area to load. Okay. I think I used it. And
oh, you'll want to reload.
Oh right, I forgot about that. Okay, reload here, because otherwise, yeah, we won't be able to progress.
Yeah, and then so this area is called Choking Grounds. It's a fitting name when you're just picking up the game, because like what he's doing here, there's a lot of pretty precise jumps where you have to stand in a particular place and get a right angle so that you can jump and do an air dash in order to just barely make it somewhere you're not supposed to go. So this is actually an item that you're getting normally at the end of the game, where there's a big backtrack section, but because it already put us in the Shadow Realm, it's available for us to grab, and we can use that air dash to get there early. And then we can just float around an invisible wall there and line up another jump to get onto these cliffs here, and then jump over a void to kind of go over this gate. The cliff jump and the jump he just did over that gap into the cliff are really big roadblocks for new runners, and again, that's why Choking Grounds is a fitting name. And then in this whole section, as he's jumping along the roof of all the rooms, if he were to fall or anything like that, he'll just fall indefinitely, and he'll have to reload the save. And so here you'll see him jump. What he's doing is actually avoiding a loading zone for the next part of the level. The reason he's doing that is that he wants to just float over here, land on some invisible platforms, and then jump backwards through a door that's not loaded, and then force load what's behind him to continue on as normal. So a lot of this game is just kind of going out of bounds, knowing exactly where all the loading zones are, and then just hitting them in an order that's beneficial to us.
Yeah, and you can see me use these enemies here again to dash into this cave. They're like lined up really conveniently, as well as these here too. And we want to trigger a Valgrim location to use later when we're backtracking for like kind of a fetch quest type of thing. And oops. So yeah, now all we need to do is go into this house, and it's basically a section. It's a series of different dashes, and you kind of want to learn how to chain these without the enemies moving wrong or anything.
Yeah, so you can see he's mixing in a few different types of dashes. Heny dashing along with the sword dashing, and then sometimes just regular forward dashing. And then he makes it onto this bridge here. And so this whole section is supposed to lead into another mini-boss fight with a car thrower. And it's been through about half a dozen revisions where we were jumping on all the chains supporting the bridges to go around the right side. But then we found that if you go around the left side, it's really quite easy. So you'll see what he's going to do in a second here. So yeah, just a couple inches to the left and you can completely skip that cutscene trigger rather than having to jump on like 5 or 6 chains sequentially off to the right. All right, and then he's coming up.
Here is window jump. There are a couple of different names for it, but it's fairly precise setup here that you want to do. You want to line yourself up and do like, oh god, I failed the inputs there. But yeah, the inputs are pretty precise as well.
Yeah, you're just standing on a really small platform and then dashing back and canceling your dash onto another really tiny platform.
Normally you're supposed to do some fights there in the house and get a key, but we can just jump over that wall. And yeah, that leads us to one of the most boring and most hated sections of the run, which is the auto-scroller. It's 7 minutes long. There's not really much going on, especially in the first part. During the second part, we have to actually pay a little bit of attention. Fun fact here, if you play on easy difficulty, you can almost survive like the auto-scroller without killing a lot of enemies. But yeah, we have to kill some here on Apocalyptic. And there's a glitch that helps us. You might have noticed if you pay close attention. It's like stream of fireballs, and we call that the laser beam. And it's performed by middle clicking and then just holding middle click and left clicking. Pretty simple how it works, but it does damage a lot of damage per frame and allows us to kill pretty much all enemies almost instantly. And yeah. So you can see like they just die with a single hit. Maybe while we have some downtime here, we could talk about like the guide that Aftermath made and the competition, because like as I said, I only started running this game about 2 years ago, and I only came to it because Aftermath did a competition, or he hosted a competition, and also like produced a really well written and done tutorial series, like both video and written. Maybe you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Hey, Aftermath, before you do, can I hop in here with a quick donation? It's from someone you might recognize.
Yeah.
We have a $500 donation from Airship Syndicate.
Oh, okay, yeah, awesome. They did. They've done a whole bunch of games with a lot of the creative team from this game, I believe.
They say, because Darksiders, and a good cause. Thanks to all Darksiders fans. Thank you for that very generous donation, Airship Syndicate.
Yeah, thanks. Big fan of all your work. But yeah, like Henny was saying, I'd run like it was like $2,500 prize total for different tiers of challenges, like just beating the game using the speedrun route and getting the world record stolen. And so the reason I did that was that Darksiders has always had a really small speedrunning community. And one of the main reasons for that was just because there was really lack of resources and info on how to even start doing the run. So it was always something of making a tutorial was like always on everyone's to-do list, but there was no incentive to really complete it. So I decided like, hey, if I'm going to make a tutorial, I definitely want it to go to use, and money is a pretty good motivator to get people to use it. And so I spent some time making what I thought was a really good tutorial. And then put the prize out there, also as a way to try to maintain my interest in speedrunning the game, since it had been a long time that I'd been running this same game. So yeah, I got quite a few new people to the community, and Henny got the record. So it's good for everyone, more or less.
Yeah, it was a fun ride for sure. Like, I'm really glad, like, despite the competition, that I picked up this game, because it's a really technical movement-based run and a lot of fun. I normally used to run FPS games mostly, but yeah, with this one I ventured into a different like genre. And yeah, thanks a lot for providing me with the tools I needed to learn this run.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might have seen me shoot at some enemies here specifically. During this cave part, we actually kind of want to pay attention to what we do. We want to kill as many red bugs, bats, or flies, however you want to call them. There are certain swarms here that have like set spawn locations. And if we destroy the red bugs here, you can see 3 of them there that I killed, we get a resource called Wrath. If you look in the top left, there's a yellow meter, and we want to fill up 2 sections of that, ideally, or like 3/4 of the second one as well. And by doing so, or if we do that, we can use a technique called Blade Geyser, which is going to be helpful during the garden fight in the first dungeon we're going to see soon. And so we want to try to kill as many as possible. There's also like a giant bat spawning up here. And if we just aim at the ceiling, we can kill him before he's even able to destroy this bridge. Only he's supposed to just break it apart scenically or cinematically. And yeah.
We have time for a couple more donations?
Yeah, I think we have time for donations till the...
For sure. We have a $500 donation from Neo Mortis. It says, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer back in October, but thanks to freakishly early detection and the hard work of doctors and cancer researchers in the past, I should be just fine after a little more treatment. Love GDQ, gotta go fast. We have a $100 donation from Amazing Toaster that says, greetings from the green room. Just wanted to let everyone know that Lord British will be dying later. We have a $50 donation from DVD Muckle that says, what an excellent way to greet the new year. Spare the dragon. And a $100 donation from What is a Phone that just simply asks, can you tell us about your keyboard?
We should probably mention that, yeah. The keyboard that I'm using is a pretty cheap one. I'm not going to mention the brand name, but it's like a $10 keyboard. It's not a mechanical one because, interestingly enough, mechanical keyboards don't really work well with the main tech of this game, which is infinite jumping. We're going to come to that pretty soon. And we don't really know why that is. We assume it has something to do with the travel distance of the keys or such. But yeah, this cheap keyboard works wonders. So if you want to run this game, you definitely want to pick up a cheap rubber dome keyboard.
Yeah, I think everyone in the top 5 of the leaderboards just has the same keyboard because it's everywhere and so cheap.
At one point, I actually bought 2 additional ones just to be safe in case this dies. Right, we're coming to the end of the auto-scroller. And yeah, after that we will get to the first dungeon, which is Twilight Cathedral. So this is 7 minutes of auto-scroller. It's really annoying because, like, always you can't really do much, and sometimes like you just sit there, read your phone during this section, because even like if you need to kill the bugs, you just, after some time, will memorize where they are perfectly, and it's no big issue. But yeah, this dungeon here, just enjoy what you're seeing, because for the rest of the game, rest of the dungeons, we're not gonna see much regular gameplay. So this is like your last chance for, yeah, close to normal gameplay.
You even solve a puzzle in this one.
Oh right, a really hard puzzle at that.
Yeah, and you can see he's using heny dashing here again, just because the bats and the watcher behind him don't provide good targets to do normal sword dashing on.
And here's the puzzle. We take the sword and put it into the statue. Insanely hard.
And then one interesting thing about this dungeon is that while the second half of it has changed quite a lot in terms of route revisions, this first half has been pretty much the same since I started running the game. There were some early skips found way back when the game launched, and it's been the same since then.
Alright, and here we're gonna get a glimpse at Tiamat, who's like the first real boss. Or we actually got a glimpse. And this takes us to the garden fight. The garden fight is a like pretty structured setup fight where we want to try to kill the enemies in a certain way to make sure that they're grouped up and we're in the right position to kill like the second wave. And here you saw me use the Blade Geyser once. And we also use the like the prompt to finish them off just more quickly, because for certain enemies it's more quickly to use this prompt.
Yeah, and to get the prompt to show up, it's one hit with the sword and the Blade Geyser, or about 15 hits with the normal sword. So that's why it's important in the auto-scroller to try to get as much wrath as you can. And it looks like he has the perfect amount, so he'll be able to do another Blade Geyser here. The important thing he's going to be doing is waiting for the bats to come up, because even more than the skeletons, they're kind of the most annoying, and killing them quickly is ideal for a good fight. And then since he hit all of them, it's just going to be like one sword swing and then the quick kill.
That was not too bad. Nice.
Yeah, that was really good.
So here I'm going to try to align myself in such a way that I can open the door while moving backwards, which sets me up perfectly for the next sequence of dashes.
Almost. So what he did there is normally those bombs to destroy that barricade have a fuse of like 5 to 10 seconds. But if you hit him with the sword, it'll reduce the fuse to about half a second. So if you're quick, you can smash it and then throw it really quickly. He just threw it a little bit too close to the other bomb, so it blew him up as well. But yeah, that's always a risky strat to go for. And then coming up, he's going to be lining up this really precise balcony jump. So what this does is skip all of the puzzles on the first half of the dungeon and just opens the way to get to the item of this area.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to fall down there while doing that jump, because then you have to go around the whole way again.
Yep. And yeah, with the air dashes, one thing that you may not be able to see is that he's holding shift, which activates focus, which makes them not lose height if you're going forward or if you're going sideways or backwards. And so then to avoid the downsides of Z targeting with it locking onto an enemy, you'll see a lot of times when we're dashing in the air that the Q mode is up, which has the cursor aim, and that's so that we don't lock onto anything that we don't want to. So yeah, this is the boomerang.
You go ahead.
Okay, so this unlocks the next ability for War, which is the infinite jump. Don't know if that's intended or not, but what you can do is if you use the horn, and then while it's in use, you switch to the boomerang and jump on the same frame, you'll get just a normal ground jump again. And so then you can just keep cycling that over and over to give yourself infinite jumps in the air. It's really tricky to do, especially once you just pick up the item, because the horn has a very specific rhythm that you have to stick to. So here I think you can just go back and walk on the cave again. Oh, you have the main room. Okay, you're all good. So what he's going to be doing is we actually bind jump and the next gear button to 4 and 5 on the keyboard. And so we just hit them 3 times over and over to switch from the horn to the boomerang and then cycle back to the horn so we can use it again. And you can see that he's throwing in the air dashes as he's doing that so that he's able to move really quickly through the air. And what that ends up doing for us is just kind of busting open the rest of the game and lets us really move wherever we want to go and just do anything we want as far as the game's concerned.
Exactly. And yeah, this is Tiamat again, like we already saw her. But first boss fight, it's a pretty lengthy one, several phases, and the general idea of the fight is to pick up the bombs, throw them at her, and then use the boomerang to light up the bomb using the fire. But if we position ourselves right and with the right timing, we can basically throw them through the fire so they directly explode onto her. And it's really easy here, it's going to become harder later. But in between, we want to just chain some sword cancels. She's gonna then fly around here and do like 3 dives. It's scripted as well and pretty easy to dodge. You just have to go to the side of the room so you're not like in her line. And yeah, after 3 dives, we want to set ourselves up again, hopefully to be able to throw the bomb through the fire. But it doesn't always work because it's kind of RNG where she actually goes. So that's the second one. Here comes the third one.
Looks good.
Should work. Nice. Saves a bit of time. Normally you would have to go into aim mode and equip boomerang and everything.
So then the next phase of this boss is going to be her starting a dive bomb on you, and then as soon as she lands, you can block and go into sword canceling. And if you do your sword canceling well and you make sure to block, it's a really set pattern each time, because what she does is basically based on your position, so we can bait out the claw attack. Then if her sword canceling is good, she'll only have time to do the one. Bosses in this game generally don't have like a normal HP bar. You just have to get through each of their phase mechanics in order to clear the fight. So with her, you just have to stagger her 3 times here, and then it'll end the boss fight. And so yeah, just a few more hits here and then it'll clear. So this boss is one of what's called the Chosen, and so he'll get the Heart of the Chosen here. This category is all Chosen bosses. It differs from a new any % route that was found recently, because that skips like 3 of the bosses at the back half of the game, but it does it in a really boring way. So we decided to show off all Chosen bosses for this because it's just a much better watch. And then as he goes along here, you'll see him again make use of the infinite jump. One thing to note is that when he's doing these sideways dashes, he has to wait for the dash animation to finish before he can use the horn again, which is what I was saying about it kind of being a really set rhythm that you have to stick to, because if you go too quickly, you'll just end up switching from the horn early and just dropping your infinite jump. This section of the game is pretty tricky, because if you start to fall into the void, like it's really tricky to get your height back. And one of the things that really separates like newer runners versus kind of more veteran runners is just the ability to recover from those dropped infinite jumps. And so you'll see heny just kind of using the background to see what's loaded and kind of direct his path, since there's nothing on the minimap. He's going to be making his way under this tunnel on the left here and just dropping down on top of this pipe, and should be getting a loading screen.
It was a bit off there, but yeah, finally made it. And also I wanted to pay attention, I wanted to not be in aim mode there, because the game has a chance to crash if you're in aim mode and you activate a loading zone, so yeah.
Yeah, there's a few spots where you just have to really be careful to get out of the aim mode. And so along here, he loaded the Drowned Pass, and now he's going to be going for Vulgrim. And each of these areas we go to will be activating the Vulgrim, because we need to travel there at the end of the game. So he's going to jump under the ground here until he sees the save icon, which lets him know he got the Vulgrim. And then he can jump into the water and swim underneath. If you've ever played like God of War 2, the water physics are similar here, where it just extends almost throughout the entire level. And so War can just swim freely. He'll be coming up against another sewer pipe here. One risk that can happen is the gate golem can spawn. And if that happens, you have a risk getting soft locked. So to avoid any chance of that, heny uses the mid-air sword attacks in order to get high enough to load the next section of the map here. And then again, you can see just a lot of this game turns from like really precision platforming to just a lot of different movement tech all mixed together. And so the way we kind of navigate out of bounds while not being able to see a whole lot is to use the minimap, and then also just kind of look at the background. So there it all turned black, which lets us know that we hit the loading zone. And then as we go to the left here, we'll pass an invisible barrier and then see all the level load in. So now he wants to kind of go underneath this door and kind of to the middle of where a room is, which will load the underground section. And then in the middle of this underground section, there's another loading zone, which will actually load the start of the second dungeon, the subway tunnels you see off there. And this is kind of a really tricky section, and why he plays on low texture, because as things load in, your game can hiccup for a second, which will again make you drop an infinite jump, which can have you falling a long distance. And then here, he's using the doors. Oh, did your angle change?
I think I was right, wasn't it?
Might be. So he used the doors to line up.
I'm just gonna play it safe, because like losing it here is a big time loss.
Okay. My bad. If it wasn't bad, it just looked a bit odd.
No worries.
So what he's doing is going to use those doors to line up his angle horizontally. And then as he goes back past the door, he'll be checking to see that it matches up for his height. And he's going to be aiming for a loading zone that's kind of far out in the distance. And so as he goes back, he's going to be watching the top of the screen for that door he was aiming at. That'll let him know if he needs to adjust his height at all. And then once he passes that, he'll also have the minimap load in, which will let him know if he needs to adjust his angle at all. There's two loading zones in this hall. The one that's more to the north will actually load in all of the geometry, but what he wants is the one that just loads the item room, so he's able to kind of jump into this empty hole here to make his way.
And this is like kind of a breather now after the first part of this huge out of bounds section. So we can relax a bit, and we're gonna get the next item here, which is the fist. And the fist is not really useful for us during the run, except for doing a certain thing in the boss room, which you're gonna see in a bit. But yeah, it would be nice if we could skip it and just do the boss room differently, but it still saves a lot more time to get this than to do the boss normally. And I think also, wasn't it like that the boss, like you cannot even beat him without? Or spawn him?
Probably.
Yeah, I think like there's certain bosses, we'll see that later, where you have to get an item in order to beat them.
Yeah, so the way these loading zones work is that you'll see that we're hitting them in order, and there's some that, like, as soon as the dungeon's loaded, they're like globally loaded, so you can hit them no matter what. Other ones have conditionals on them, so like there's some loading zones that you can fly into all you want, but they won't activate if you don't have a certain item. And so here you saw he was lining up another jump. This one goes all the way across the dungeon, so he has to stand in a specific spot and get a pretty good angle. And then as he starts to kind of fly over to the side here, what he's going to be using is the doors in front of him to adjust his height and see if he needs to go up or down at all. And then the mini-map is going to appear, and he's going to be using this to see that his angle looks good. And since everything looks fine, he'll just adjust his height a little bit and then just continue going. And when that door is halfway between his weapons and war, you'll get a loading zone. And then this is kind of tricky in that you need to immediately start going back the other way. Since you're mashing 4 and 5, it's sometimes difficult to change from like WASD at the same time that you're maintaining everything. But then this is the next loading zone, which is going to just be kind of the path to the boss. So you can see here, it's again just like a lot of different movement directions and hitting Q and getting out of Q, so that this is one of the more difficult infinite jump sections, especially because it's done with the horn, which is harder to recover with. And so yeah, when he was in that room, the lighting will change and you'll see some ice appear that lets him know the boss room is loaded, which is going to appear on his left here. He just needs to jump on top, and then he's going to be able to drop down on the other side of where the boss normally spawns and do a pretty good trick.
Yeah, we can now, like we entered the room in reverse, and we can destroy these crystals here, which normally we would destroy during the fight. But because we're able to do this, we hopefully will be able to one cycle this boss, which is a huge time save. And this fight is pretty scripted as well, so there's like no real RNG here. So first we want to push this card into the boss. It's called the Griever, by the way, forgot to mention that. And now he's going to push it back. We can then again push it to him. And just have to destroy the crystal here. Like that's the only crystal left that is between us and destroying the boss. So what we're doing now is actually holding the card while this cutscene is playing, and we can push it back to him immediately, like we can re-grab it.
Yep, and so that skips the normal like forced fight phase here.
Exactly, and we're transforming into Chaos Mode here because Chaos Mode just deals huge damage, and yeah, that's the boss in one cycle.
Can you get him?
I think we're fine. If you're really good, you can get it before the prompt, but yeah, that's okay. I'll take that. Right, now we're gonna get a very important item, the gun. And gun is important because it allows us to do infinite jumps more easily, more faster, and it just also provides us with a different technique, which is called gun dashing. First we have to equip it though. Right, so if we do that, we can just traverse like horizontal distances like this. Maybe Aftermath can explain how that works.
Yeah, so what he's doing is jumping, and as soon as he leaves the ground, he's doing a dash, and then very shortly after using the gun to cancel a dash animation. One strange thing with the gun is that normally if you have it out, you move really slowly, but if you already have momentum, you maintain that momentum for quite a while. So by chaining these quick jump dash shoots, you're able to move really quickly along the ground, and it's the second fastest form of movement. Second only to like the horse mount that you get later. The other thing you'll notice as he's infinite jumping here is that the gun's able to interrupt the dash animation, so he doesn't need to kind of wait to time his infinite jumps, and you're able to move quite a lot faster while you're doing this infinite jump dashing. The other thing that's really nice from this part of the game is that there's not really an upper limit on kind of how fast you can move anymore. And so one of the nice things with running this game is that every time you play, you're just constantly improving with practice because there's no like skill ceiling here. And so as he makes his way onto the tunnel here, there's kind of an interesting interaction with the chest here. Doors and chests will have their interaction triggers like extend beneath the floor, so he's able to use that to pull himself back in bounds. The other thing that's nice is that it gives us the Death's Blessing enchantment, which is normally an endgame enchantment, but we're going to have it here, which is going to make up for a sword being underleveled from skipping so many fights. There's a couple bosses coming up that we wouldn't be able to one cycle without using the Death's Blessing enchantment. And then, yeah, you'll just see he's using a mix of infinite jumps and gun dashing to make his way through this part of the level.
Yeah, and the goal here now in this part is to activate another Valgrim location, so we can backtrack here later. But also one thing you'll notice is that, or you might not notice actually, is what is going on screen sometimes, because runners of this game use just the minimap 90% of the time. It's just you get used to it a lot, and it's much easier to look at the minimap, like to see where you're going, where you need to infinite jump and so on. You'll see that here with some cars appearing, and I'm gonna jump over them once I see on the minimap where they are exactly, or where the location is here.
Yeah, one of the really nice things with this game's minimap is that it's like pixel perfect accurate almost, and so you can really position yourself at least X and Y based on the minimap completely, and then just look at the background to see your height. And so he shot that enemy there, because normally if you try to infinite jump across this gap, it'll grab you and throw you into the pit. So we just have to spend a half second to turn and shoot him to immobilize him.
Right, so this takes us to the next dungeon called the Ashlands. It doesn't really look like a dungeon, it's basically a huge desert. And yeah, here you will see a worm that's gonna chase us, or at least try to. But he won't be able to to actually finally grab us.
Yeah, ordinarily you're supposed to be taking the hearts back to Samael after each dungeon. But since we have the gun, we can actually just completely outrun the worm as long as we make it to the safe zone in time. And so he's just gonna cross the desert here, make him to the safe zone, and then hit this orb, and then just start an infinite jump again to get to the next part of the sand. And so you can see on the right side that he's switching between all the gears, and then you can hear that matched up with his keyboard. And again, that's why we hit it 3 times, because it's easier than hitting next gear and jump and then having to hit 1 or anything like that, just to tap in triplets.
Oh. Almost fell down there, which would not be good.
Even with the minimap, sometimes it's hard to navigate. So what he's doing here is he has to hit a certain loading zone on that bridge by walking backwards across it. Then he's going to be counting his jumps and dashes so that he's able to land blindly on top of this tunnel. The camera freaks out, so the camera really freaks out.
Right. Where am I? There's the tunnel. Should be able to land on it, I think. Oh no, we loaded this. Can we set this like this?
I think you just, when you get into the worm room, you can just jump up. It doesn't matter.
Okay. But this didn't like do a soft lock, right?
No, it's fine. So yeah, he just landed on the wrong side of the rock pillar there, because it's, with the camera doing what it does, it's really hard to kind of get your orientation. So normally what we do is we can just skip these couple of cutscenes and just jump directly over this room. He got the cutscene, but it doesn't affect anything. He just has to start infinite jumping from here.
As long as we don't touch the sand, we're fine, like from the worm. Like, he won't even chase us that way.
Yeah. And yeah, these cliffs are a little bit weird when you're trying to go out of bounds through them, because the visuals don't exactly line up with where the actual hitboxes are.
Do you have time for a quick donation?
Of course, go for it.
We have $100 from Manubi. Says, it's been a long time and I'm glad to see you, Heny, at AGDQ. The run is good, the runner is great, and I'm enjoying this AGDQ a lot. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Manubi. Appreciate it. yeah, this takes us to where we need to be, which is Horse Arena, and it's a really hard fight, as you're gonna see. Lots of focus that we'll need to do here. And yeah, we'll just let this speak for itself.
So yeah, as you may have noticed, we loaded the fight, but we didn't quite load the arena for the fight. So the enemies are going to spawn and try to come after us, but really quickly you'll see that they just kind of start dropping. And with enemies in this game, if they drop down a certain distance, they just immediately die. So for this Horse Arena wave fight, basically we just have to wait a few seconds during each round, and then the enemies hit the kill plane and die. Luckily, War doesn't have anything like that, so it's able to just clear each round really quickly for us. The only exception to that is the very last enemy will need a cutscene kill, and so we have to actually like save and reload the game to get the arena back and clear it properly.
Exactly, so there are two card throws here, and unfortunately what happens here is a bit of RNG. So we hope for both card throws to fall down, so they basically die. Sometimes one gets stuck. So we just have to pray now for a little bit. There's number one. Oh, and there's the second one. Holy, whoa, that's a fast one.
You got the fast cycle.
That's nice. So good, like. So if we, if we didn't get the second one falling down, then we would need to, do the last two phases of the, or last three phases of the fight, Horse Arena fight normally. And this saves like 2 minutes or something, which is really nice.
Yeah, and so the game overall doesn't really have that much RNG when you're doing a run. This is really the only sticking point where if you don't get it, it's just an automatic reset if you're going for a good time. Otherwise, there's just parts that lose like 10 or 15 seconds overall, and the game's not optimized enough for that to matter, generally. So yeah, this is the last enemy. So it has 2 rounds of needing to stagger the rider and then deal a bunch of damage. With sword canceling, we're able to stagger him before he's able to do anything, and then get the prompt to knock him off the horse.
Yeah, so that was a 2 cycle. There's 1 cycle strat you can do, but it's quite hard and I haven't really practiced it too much. But yeah, there's a lot of possible optimizations you could throw in this run. So now what we're doing is transform into chaos form and try to hit this enemy in such a way that he's gonna get into the fire. That doesn't always work. It's no big deal. Like, just takes a few more hits. But in the fire, like, he would die instantly. And now that we defeated him, which is really nice, we're gonna get the item of this dungeon, which is the horse. And the horse is really useful because it's the fastest way of transportation. Wait, horse, what are you doing?
Hit him. Oh, the fire hit him, so that's fine, I guess.
Okay. And the horse should reappear. Yes, there it is. And then, yeah, we got it. So here, what we can do is... jump over this gate. Right. We're gonna jump over this gate. Normally you would need to defeat the enemies here again. You can also reload the autosave, but it's kind of a difference in terms of in-game time versus real time. So this is a little bit faster real time if you do it correctly. This takes us to another warm section. I think we already passed this before.
Yeah, so this is the room he had to jump out of earlier. Now that you have the horse, you can normally fight it. We still don't want to do that, so we're going to do what's called the Sunny Jam skip. So in this section, if you jump off the horse and start infinite jumping, this cutscene actually still gives you full control over War. So while the worm's introducing itself, he's just jumping up onto this cliff. And then you can just ride the horse off into the void. And then, again, one of the things that you use while you're kind of infinite jumping out of bounds is the background. So what he's going to be looking for is the background to go black, which lets him know he hits the loading zone. Then he can turn and go towards the boss room, which will turn the background to normal again. Then he can check that the boss room is there and jump inside this window of the cave to let himself back in. It's really nice that in Darksiders, if it looks like something should be a window, it generally is a path out of bounds. Also, if something looks like a ceiling, generally it's also a path out of bounds, so I guess it's nice both ways.
Yeah, and this is the boss of this dungeon, the Stygian. Pretty lengthy fight as well, pretty scripted, so as long as we move consistently, the boss will move consistently as well. But before we get to that, we have to first kill some minions here, a certain amount, and you're gonna see that the sword is gonna get leveled up very soon, and that's actually like the first level up of the sword, I think. Yeah, there it is. And normally you're supposed to have your sword leveled up during choking grounds or somewhere around that point. But yeah, we only just get that now because we don't really fight many enemies. Yeah, I'm gonna try to move like in a certain way here to manipulate the Stygian. First he needs to hit us. Yeah. Okay, that still worked. He might be a little bit off in his movement.
Oh, you got the normal one. Maybe.
Yeah, kinda-ish. Need to adjust a bit, but it's fine. We're gonna try to quickly get rid of the shield/helmet on his face. I can't. Okay, there it is. And after that, he's gonna transition to another phase, and we can just chill out a little bit here. This like nice viewpoint. And what's happening here now very soon is that there are gonna be some little worms spawning, and the little worms you normally have to either kill or just wait long enough. And we can speed this up a little bit by going up here. This actually has like a purpose, because the worms will try to aim for war. And like if they do that by looking or going towards your X and Y coordinate. And if we just stand up here, they will just crash under us. You can also hear them like probably dying. And yeah, they don't really look for the Z coordinate, so they will just crash and die. And that's like the fastest way to beat them, basically. So now would probably be a good time for some more donations.
We have a $25 donation from Professor Shinobi, who provides a haiku. Excuse me. Though my keyboard's cheap, I will be generous now to help stop cancer. Stay hydrated and safe, everyone. Money goes to River City Girls All Bosses Incentive. We also have a $10 donation from Arcarian, who says, it's good to see Darksiders back at AGDQ and hear Aftermath commenting on it. Brings back a lot of memories from the past. Darksiders 2 next year?
Hopefully.
Yeah, thanks for that donation, Ark.
We have a $50 donation from Mark Dabney. Always love catching GDQ streams and the replays. Thanks for doing all you do to entertain and help great causes. Go fast.
So in this section...
Yeah,
oh, do you want to explain?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, so you see he's just kind of like standing around and getting hit. This is apparently how the boss phase is supposed to go. It's the fastest way to do it, because otherwise it just chases you indefinitely. After you get hit 3 times, it goes back into this phase where you can shoot him. He tries to maintain his distance, because if you're too close or too far, the worm can dive down and either do the 3 hits again, or go back to the small worm summoning. So you just have to kind of maintain a particular distance until you get enough shots in. And just like that, the boss is finished.
Yeah, and there's a pretty big time loss if he goes back to the worm phase. Like, you have to go to the platform again and just outweight the worms again. So I'm glad that didn't happen. And here we're gonna get the next heart from this boss. There's only one chosen boss left, one chosen boss with a heart, which is Silitha, a spider. So, well, if you're afraid of spiders, close your eyes very soon. And after that, we still have like one dungeon with Straga too. We're gonna meet Straga again. But yeah, still a bit until then.
And so he buys another possession potion here, which we'll need just for one of the later boss fights. And then teleports to the Ashlands. So one interesting thing with these serpent paths is normally you have to move through them and go into the teleportal at the end. But a few of them let you save warp. So like he's doing here, just right at the start, you can save and reload the game. And then you just pop out right at the exit, saving all that travel distance. We don't really know why it works with a few of them, but we're also not really going to question it. It just saves time.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We're on the sand again, so we can use the horse. And what we have to do is now get to the dungeon. There's like a big chasm here, which we have to traverse, or basically just infinite jump over.
Yeah, and again, this is normally a section where you need an item from Samael, but because we have the infinite jump, we can just cross over what you would normally need to get from him, which is like a bridge that goes over this chasm. But you can see this is just as good.
If you look at the top right, you're gonna see some carrots, basically, which we can use to speed up the horse. And you want to maximize the distance you get by just waiting a little bit before the additional speed runs out. And here we're gonna try to... Okay, it didn't quite work. You can... Okay. The game also queues up your inputs here for mounting the horse, which is kind of awkward. But what I tried to do there basically is to remount the horse while in midair, doing a double jump, which gives you back the carrots instantly and just saves a bit of time. It's no big deal. Yeah, next dungeon here, Iron Canopy. First we have to get out of this spider web here.
Yep. And so you'll have noticed that all the dungeons seem to be getting shorter and shorter. This is kind of the culmination of that, or I guess the penultimate dungeon. It's really quite short. So from the start, we just go in a straight line off to where the item for the dungeon is. Normally you're supposed to go through basically the whole area to make it to this bridge. But it's out in the open for us, so why not just jump there?
Yeah, and here's the room with the item that you can get in this dungeon, which is the chain. The thing is, we normally wouldn't want this item because it's kind of annoying. It can get in your way while infinite jumping. But if we don't get this item, we cannot actually beat the boss. Like, we cannot beat Silitha. We have to get this. Otherwise, there would be a way to just enter the boss room reverse, like from the other side. But unfortunately, that's not really possible, so we have to get this chain.
Yep. And then once he has the chain, he's going to go off to the corner of this room here. For whatever reason, there's a spot that lets you kind of escape the room. And then he's going to go around the outside of this building and start making his way to the boss room. So similar to what I was saying in the second dungeon, where in this game, generally if you see a floating door, you can just go up to it and open it. So what that will do is just kind of force load whatever's on the other side. So if we have a door to the boss room here, we can just walk up to it and open it, and it just without question loads the boss room for us, and then just lets us go fight the boss directly. And so yeah, this boss...
Oh. Go ahead.
Oh, so this boss just consists of using the grapple to get close to her to deal enough damage to stagger her in each phase. Again, the boss doesn't have an HP bar. It just works on if you deal enough damage to stagger. So when she drops down, you can attack her, but you're not actually doing any damage. And between each phase, she can teleport onto the walls. And for a long time, we tried to figure out if there's any sort of manipulation for it. But it's just another one spot of minor RNG in the run. So she can teleport on the wall from 0 to 3 times on each round. But he's actually getting pretty good luck here with just single teleports. So we'll see if that holds out.
Okay, well...
that wasn't bad. That was 6, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so the best that you can get is 3, and the worst you can get is 12, so he got just fine luck. And then in this section, it's another cutscene where War has full control. So while she's summoning the orbs, he can just kind of jump up and use the grapple to end the fight early.
Yeah, that gives us the last heart of the run. After this, we just have to bring the hearts back to Samael and then go for the final, well, not final boss, but the final dungeon. So maybe now would be another good time for donations. Quite some donations if you have them.
Oh, we do. We have $25 from Zan, who says, "This is no place for a horse." Shout out to Haida, Isaiah, and Kitty with lots of love, and thank you to Heny and the crew for running one of our favorite games. Let's have a great AGDQ. Oh, and $25 for Sad Stealth Dad. We have a $25 donation from Kyle H. It says, thanks AGDQ staff, PCF, all the runners and fans for continuing to make such fun events year after year. Here's to a better 2021.
You can read some more.
Sure. We got $10 from Cameo Disappearance. First time donating, but how could I not spring for the Sega poster as one of the 7 people in the world who love the Dreamcast? And a $50 donation from, oh, sorry.
No,
Time for one more?
go ahead.
Yeah, $50 from Star Dweller. Thanks to everyone responsible for putting on this great event.
So yeah, nothing really happening here. We just need to get back to Valgrim. And it's a bit awkward here to infinite jump since the frame rate really dips. And if the frame rate dips, sometimes the infinite jumps will not work, or you need to adjust the timing because the frame rate is tied to physics in a certain way. But you can kind of mitigate that if you just have enough experience with the run. And finally, we made it out of the Ashlands here. And yeah, that way we're gonna go back to Scalding Gallows. So you see we're revisiting some certain pathos as well. And with a certain pathos in general, you want to kind of memorize their layout so you can go like in a straight line to the exit teleporter. Until now, we didn't really do too many of them, but during the backtracking, we will have a bunch of certain paths to go through. So yeah.
Yep. And then here he needs to kind of ride around the outside of the central platform. If he just jumps there directly, things don't quite load correctly. Because you can see we're going to be turning in a whole bunch of hearts at once and getting overlapping cutscenes. You might even be able to see multiple semi-Ls. So just approaching from the front is just the easiest way to make sure that everything kind of goes as it should. Yeah, so as he starts to jump up here, you'll notice some sections of dungeons start to appear in midair. And so we had found that the serpent paths actually fully load what's on the other side of them. And so once we saw the door in the sky, it's like, huh, I wonder what that is. And so as we started jumping, you'll see the entire Black Throne start to load in. And so again, with dungeons getting shorter and shorter, now we're not even going to get the item from this dungeon. We're just going to go straight to Straga and fight the boss. So this is a pretty long infinite jump section. Anyone that's played the game casually just knows how huge Black Throne is and just how much we're going to be skipping. If you do the 100% route of this game, there's actually an item at the very, very top of the Black Throne. So it's something like 4 to 5 minutes of just infinite jumping straight up. And if you can hear his keyboard, it's just tapping furiously for like 5 minutes to get to the very top of this dungeon. So that's why I think I'm the only one that's ran that route, because it's awful. But yeah, so then you can see that the sky turns black again, to let us know we hit the loading zone. We fall down to that yellow spot on the elevator to let us know that we hit the boss room trigger. Once the boss room comes in, we drop down through another hole in the ceiling and can just jump into the trigger for the fight. And the game is just like, sure, we'll let you fight the boss. And so since we don't have the portal gun, which you're supposed to have at this point to kind of shoot out of his club and get onto his back, what we're going to be doing is emulating the timing and positioning of being on his back so that the eye gets tricked into letting us damage it.
Exactly, so here now we have to only slash Straga 10 times, and after that he will spawn some enemies. And it's the fastest way to kill these enemies to use the Chaos Form, group them up. It's kind of random where they spawn and how they move, so you just want to try your best.
Yep, and for these enemies, he'll kill as many as he can within the Chaos Form. And then once he's out of the Chaos Form, he'll try to use Sword Canceling and Blade Geyser to finish them off. If the prompt comes up, it's going to be faster to use the kill prompt rather than continue attacking with the Sword Canceling. So yeah, there's only 6 enemies, and it looks like he had a pretty good cycle there. And so then once each round finishes, the boss will just kind of do the set pattern of swinging his club across the ground a couple of times. What we want to do is just kind of hang out in front of Straga in the air, just kind of waiting for the right timing to go over his back and land on the platform again. If you're too early, he'll rotate weirdly, and either the platform just will be intangible, or what'll happen is he'll move off to the side, and then when this happens, we won't have the right position to trick the game into thinking that we did the boss legitimately.
Yeah, using the possession potion we bought. Oh, I forgot.
You gotta hit him again.
Speedrunner trying to go too fast. But yeah, using the possession potion to regain or the energy to go into chaos form. These spawns, we'll see.
That's a really weird spawn.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Transforming again, and then for these we're also alternating the pattern in which how we attack here. And these guys are a bit different, like how they move into midair. That wasn't too bad, I think.
Yeah, that was good. One blade geyser on the one on the left, and he should be in range.
I know. Okay.
So yeah, between the second and third rounds, Straga's pattern is exactly the same. So we just need to go hang out in front of him again and wait for the timing of his club in order to jump on his back. If you ever miss any of these cycles, it's about a minute loss. So this is kind of one of the, seeing as how it's about an hour, and this is kind of one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the run, because if you don't get the cycle on Straga, you're just down a minute.
Yep. But yeah, we made it. Just gotta hit him a few more times. And then we will get to Eden, where there's a special fight coming up.
He came
Yeah,
to me
yeah, that struggle went really well. So in Eden,
went well.
yeah. So in Eden, you get the Mask of Shadows, which you're supposed to do to put yourself in the Shadow Realm and kind of face your inner demon, Dark Link. But that sounds a little bit difficult, so we're just going to run away from our responsibilities immediately. And so we just kind of gun dash up this stairway here and gets us to our tree. The tree shows us just kind of some happy cutscenes. Once we've watched those, we can use the mask. We can activate the mask like during the cutscene to bring us back down here, which will activate the Dark Link fight, while also the game thinking that we've finished watching all those cutscenes up above. So again, we're just able to turn around, run away as quickly as we can. And once we pass the edge of this bridge, then the game will like congratulate us for overcoming our inner demons and let us escape from Eden.
Funnily enough, Dark Link is still there.
Yeah.
The game is a bit... I know that's not the right term, but it's a bit confused.
Yeah. Dark Link's too strong. He needs to stay in Eden. So yeah, now that he's landed here, he's going to be getting the fetch quest at the end of the game to kind of backtrack to all the areas and pick up these Armageddon shards. So this is... The Mask of Shadows puts us in the Shadow Realm, which lets us grab these. And so you can see why when Choking Grounds was in the Shadow Realm, we could grab that piece early. Otherwise, now we need to go through all the areas we previously revisited and grab the piece. Nice.
I'm just gonna ride the horse back to Vagrant, and now off to some backtracking.
Yep, just end of game cleanup.
It's actually like one of my favorite sections because it's like really short sections and pretty chill in general. And here we're gonna save load again, like the wrong warp we mentioned earlier. Really convenient.
Yep. And so in each of these areas, you'll be able to see the Armageddon Blade piece marked on the minimap. Normally there's like a puzzle you have to solve in order to get up to each of them. But as you've seen with the rest of the run, if we can see it, we can jump to it. So we're able to just kind of ride the horse nearby and then infinite jump up and reach the Armageddon Blade piece and grab it. And then one interesting thing with the way the autosaves work in this game, which you can see in the bottom left, like a horse symbol appears, is that sometimes it won't save where your position is. So what we're able to do here is just reload our save, and we're taken back pretty close to Vulgrim. And so in all of these sections, we'll be abusing that fact to grab the Armageddon Blade piece and then immediately save and immediately reload our autosave to just go back to Vulgrim and warp to the next section.
Great. Next one.
So in this section, he has to take a little bit of a detour here. So you can see the Armageddon piece on the map, but there's just some really tall walls extending all the way around it that will trigger a boss fight. So we just need to go above those and then kind of dash right over the piece and drop down in order to avoid that fight. And then on all of these, except for the last one, we just have to wait for the prompt to pop up before we can actually pause the game to reload.
Round pass.
And so this is, again, kind of what Heny was saying earlier with, it really helps to memorize all the serpent paths, so you can really quickly get the right angle and direction and just go straight to where the teleport is at the end of the section.
Oh no.
That's fine.
All right, so there's one bird left. Save or kill? I'm gonna
yeah, shoot
just
it
leave it to you.
I don't think he can live without his partner.
I think we can live. Let him live.
Okay, that's fine.
It was an accident, so.
Unlucky bystander.
All right, so here I'm gonna try something interesting. See if it works. And to get the right height. All right, nice. So if you land, or if you infinite jump below the platform with the exit warp there, you can basically trigger it from underneath the platform, because that's like one of the only warps which extends down there. And it saves, like, if you do it right, it saves probably a second or so, because you don't need to do more infinite jumps to get up to the platform. Really nice.
Do you have time for a donation real quick?
Of course.
We have a $1,000 donation from Kevin, who says,
wow,
donated in memory of my brother-in-law, Alan, who passed away in December.
All right, so Broken Stair, one of the more tricky pieces to get. Maybe Aftermathrar can explain why.
Yeah, so in this section, you'll see that he's measuring his height against the building. The reason for that is that as he's jumping underneath this highway section here, he's just skirting right across a death plane. And then, like I explained earlier, we want to maintain our autosave position to be next to Vulgrim. So he has to stay far enough away from that building to not trigger an autosave, while also staying high enough there to dodge that death plane, because it raises up a little bit there. But it looks like you did it perfectly, so you got the Armageddon Blade piece. And this one just lets you pause immediately and reload and get back to Vulgrim.
All right, so that's all that we need, all the shards, and now we just have to let the gunsmith assemble the sword. And some last gun dashing here for this run.
Yeah, one of the finer points on gun dashing is that because you need to jump right as you hit the ground and then immediately dash again, if you're going downhill, since you have that longer distance before you hit the ground, it's really easy to just dash and mess up your gun dash combo. It doesn't matter too much other than losing time, but in the Ashlands, when you're running away from the worm or any of those sorts of sections, if you do that, you generally just get eaten by the worm and have to reload a previous save.
Alright, nice. Got also the fast pop-up.
Instant, perfect.
And
So yeah.
now we just have to get to the final boss. Just at Leviathan's Drift. You got one last horse section except for the final boss. You can also do the save load wrong warp here. We don't really know why for some it works like this and for others it don't. I think we have some theories, but yeah, convenient for sure.
And then coming up is a horse height glitch, which this is the only place it's used in the run, and this is another glitch that we don't fully understand the reasons for. But if you jump off the horse and then re-jump onto it right at this cliff, if you get the right angle, it'll warp you up directly.
Okay, now I'm just gonna jump up normally.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty weird how it works, and it only... Come on. It only works in certain spots. Wait, where's my horse?
Where is your horse? Oh, you don't have the boomerang out?
Yeah.
Oh, you can use the
reload
mask.
the save.
I think you can
just
use the
gonna
mask
reload
and
the
then double
save.
jump. Yeah, that works too.
So we can show the glitch again.
Yeah. Oh, you loaded the autosave. You'll want the hard save.
Right. I mean, this run went pretty damn well until now, so yeah.
So yeah, after building hype for it for the last minute, let's see if we can get it. Normally, nice. Yeah, normally runners don't like using the horse too much, but being able to do that kind of redeems it, so we begrudgingly accept it.
Alright, so this is the Destroyer / Abaddon. Like, Destroyer is the dragon form. And here, like, this is pretty lengthy fight as well. For the start, we have to just attack him as soon as he moves. It's very convenient that we can just do this, like wait here and then attack him again, like using this sword attack from War. And normally, like, you're supposed to, like, take your horse right around and then hit him with your sword from your horse. But yeah, we can just attack him as soon as he stands up. And now begins kind of the counting simulator or counting game here. We need to count his dives. I'm gonna dive 2 times now for this part. So that was 1. And then we just drop down and attack him again, because then he's gonna try to run around, but we're faster. And we want to kind of hover in midair to avoid, like, getting hit by his dive attack. So you just want to be, like, over his head a little bit and then look for his dive. I was gonna dive 1 time. It's the pattern is 2-1-1-3. Oh, still got him there. That was a bit close. Alright, and now we can just get on our horse and ride around here, because he's going to do 3 dives, and at the end there's a quick time event, so we don't need to hit him with a sword. And it's just easier to avoid his dives like this. You still have to dash. Yeah, it's pretty easy. For the third one, I'm gonna just get hit. Hopefully, yeah. Ah, okay. He's gonna take another turn. That's fine though. You do it right. That's the fastest way to get this quick time event. Yeah, that's the Destroyer phase 1. So coming up, I actually lied. There's like 2 more phases. The second phase basically is hoping for the game not to crash, which can happen here. There used to be like, I had some world record attempts where the game crashed here. It's pretty heartbreaking. And it's like a 30% chance or something. Well, let's see. Take the leap of faith, War. I think we made it. No crash. Cool. Hooray.
And so this starts the last phase of the fight. It's just kind of a test of sword canceling, knowing the boss pattern, and just blocking at the right time or jumping out of the way. So each phase you just need to sword cancel into Abaddon until you deal enough damage, and then you have this button mashing contest with him, and once you overpower him, you throw him back. When he warps away, he's going to be summoning some boulders that he'll throw at you, which you're normally supposed to dodge. But conveniently, his own Coliseum just provides a shelter for us, so we can just stand here and they just bounce away harmlessly. Yeah, the other thing you can do is just grab them out of midair and throw them back at him. So the second round is much the same as the first. You just want to deal as much damage as you can to him using sword canceling, and then block or jump over all of his attacks. Nice.
And one interesting thing to mention here is that the pressure you need to, or the speed you need to mesh the mouse key here to beat him during these parts is actually dependent on the difficulty. It's like one of the few other things, except for the damage output from the enemies, that scaled. Oh no.
And so this section's a little bit different than the previous two. If you were to damage him a little bit early before he has that block animation, he'll warp away and it wastes a whole bunch of time. So what you want to do is wait for him to kind of put his hand on his sword and then immediately start sword canceling again as quickly as you can. And oh, I guess you just go right back. So then, yeah, once he does that, you just keep hitting him until you get the final button mashing sequence.
Should happen pretty soon, hopefully. Yes, there it is. And time is very soon after cutscene starts here, after the final hit. So that's 3, 2, 1. Time. All right. That's Darksiders, all chosen bosses. That, I think, went pretty well. Do we know what the final time is? By any chance? Otherwise, we'll just check it afterwards.
Give me a couple seconds. We'll wait for it to come up real quick.
All right, nice. I'm happy with that. So there are a lot of things during this run that can go wrong, and for the most part, it went pretty well, so I'm really happy about it. And yeah, so thanks a lot to Aftermath, first of all, for providing this amazing co-commentary. Like, he's the most knowledgeable person about this game, I'd say. And yeah. There are a lot of other people. Maybe you want to start with people to shout out?
Yeah, I guess my first one is the great A-Fox. Back when I was learning this game, he got bullied into running it with me and then did tons of the route finding, a lot of glitch hunting, and just generally was a lot of fun to race against to kind of get this game's record to where it is. Otherwise, Akion as well, he found a lot of the glitches that are used for the movement tech, so gun dashing and infinite jump was all due to him. And then recently, What Is a Phone has created some really good tools for this game. He made some like trigger volume viewers that let us answer a lot of the mysteries we always had about how certain things worked in the game. So that was a huge help.
Yeah, right. So yeah, thanks from my side to those people as well, but also there's a lot of new runners like Useless Skills, Acrid, who also did co-commentary at ESA, and a lot others. Sorry, like, to everyone we didn't mention, but you're all amazing. And if you want to join, sorry, did you want to say anything?
Oh, I was just going to say some of the older runners like Kuro and Inkalex were also
of course
big influences.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, if you like what you saw, if you want to maybe attempt this run, as we already said, there's a really good tutorial series by Aftermath. You can find it on speedrun.com in the resource section for this game. You can also join our Discord server. We're glad to help everyone. It's not an easy run to learn, but yeah, you'll get there, and it's really rewarding and fun speedrun once you master the tech. So yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for having us, and enjoy the rest of the marathon. Keep donating, it's for a good cause.
Thank you so much, Heny and Aftermath, for an absolutely hypnotizing Darksiders run. I don't know if my keyboard will ever be able to compare. We have a $50 donation from CJ that says, "Thank you, GDQ and all of its staff and runners. This event provides us all with a welcome distraction in these times, as well as a warm reminder that there is still goodness in this world." Donation goes to Emily in the Dishonored Bid War. We also have a $250 donation from Roleplay that says, "May this tribute to Her Imperial Majesty Empress Emily Caldwin aid in her quest to defeat the usurper and conquer the greater enemy, Cancer." And a quick update on that bid war for Dishonored 2. Right now, Emily is in the lead with a bit over $1,350 compared to $1,135 for Corvo. So if you want to have an influence on whether or not the Empress or the Lord Protector will be running Dishonored 2, make sure you get your donations in and select the character choice incentive for Dishonored 2. And with that, my time at this point here in the marathon is coming to a close. Thank you all so much for all of the amazing donations and all of the hype you've been bringing here in chat. We're going to take a quick Twitch ad break, and when we come back, Marforia will be here to take you through the rest of the marathon. Thank you all so much, but right now, we're going to show a quick Twitch ad break. Don't go away.
Hello, hello everyone. Welcome back to Awesome Games Done Quick 2021 Online, powered by Twitch. My name is Marforia, and I will be your host for the upcoming runs. We have a $25 donation from Nefarious Bread saying, "Wanted to shout out the people donating by gifting subs on Twitch. They are helping the cause and helping drive more hype in chat. Rock on." We have a $250 donation from Luke GB saying, "Longtime watcher, first time donor. I lost my mom to cancer years back, so I'm glad to be able to donate to a great cause. Keep up the great work, and let's get the Hades bonus run on the schedule." We have a $50 donation from DVD Muckle saying, "What an excellent way to greet the new year. Spare the dragon." And now for a quick interview with Keizaron and Nuclear, our runner for the upcoming Skyrim run. Take it away.
What's up again, AGDQ 2021. It's Keizaron here. I'm joined by Nuclear. Nuclear, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, I seem to have learned something. A little birdie told me that, so there's a countdown last year when I didn't reach estimate for my Animorphs run, and I was told that you might have started that countdown. Would you like to explain yourself, young man?
I thought it would be fun.
I mean, it was fun. So anyway, let's talk about you. So you're going to be running Skyrim, and usually when we see, a Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls at all, like we see a run that's completely broken, lots of glitches, lots of everything. But you're actually doing glitchless, which I believe it's the first time that Skyrim's appearing glitchless. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about like how a glitchless run actually performs?
Yeah, so as compared to the any percent run, glitchless is less focused on, well, of course, there's no things like clipping into walls and glitches that just where you just fly across the map like horse tilts. It's more focused on precise movement, correctly timing your power whirlwind sprint that allows you to move really quickly for a short period of time. Correctly timing the points where you wait to completely restore your stamina, which allows you to sprint as much as possible. That kind of thing. Just precise movement, using your items at the right times, that kind of thing.
Now, with a category like glitchless, I'm sure that there's always new things that are found and different ways to try to develop strategies to not only stay faithful to the glitchless category, but also speed it up. So in the past year or so, like what's developed within the run?
Quite a lot. One of the most recent things, there's a very interesting strategy that involves a bit of alcoholism. We'll get to that. Some of bigger things are a couple of months ago there was a big early game reroute, just a change of the order of that we do everything in early game. It saves a lot of time by reducing the amount of movement that we have to do. Yeah, things like that have changed. Also, a lot of things just like realizing that we don't actually have to do a certain amount of dialogue, that there's a dialogue that we just don't have to do. Things like that have just shaved seconds off.
Now, on the topic of the run as a whole, we do have a bid war going on. Currently, Spare is about 1,700-ish, like give or take a few bucks, and Kills at about 600. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. Do you have a preference between the two?
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed so far. Aftermathrar really deserves to die. He's a total danger to humanity. Definitely kill him. Yeah, donate to kill.
Which that actually segues perfectly to a couple of social media questions I'm going to ask you. This is from @PurifierPhoenix, which asks about Parthenax actually. What's the consequences for killing versus not killing?
Well, Parthenax, he's a dragon, so his nature is to dominate, to basically be evil. He apparently supposedly tries very hard to fight against this evil nature, to the point where the Greybeard is one of the most respected groups of people in the whole Elder Scrolls universe, pretty much. Basically, he's completely earned their trust, and he's kind of and the Greybeards kind of have the trust of all of Skyrim. So Parthenax is pretty trusted. But of course, his nature is to dominate. So can he really be trusted? Can he be trusted not to kill tons of people? Who knows?
I think that's why we should start putting some dollars towards kill. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. I'm just a little casual audience member here, just randomly spouting stuff. Speaking of spouting, from @Erwanito92 with an underscore between all of that. What's your favorite dragon shout?
Ooh, probably Whirlwind Sprint, because it's by far the most useful in the speed run. Just blasts you forward. It's fun to use.
And then I think this is the perfect final question to ask you. This is from @QuirkySquid13. And Quirky Squid says, as a squid myself, do you have any tips for squids living in the desert for golfing purposes specifically?
Oh, you can use your squid. You can ink with your squid into the holes, and that will make you win at golf.
All right, I think that's a perfect way to end this. Thanks a lot, Nuclear, for being a part of this interview. Once again, everyone, I was Keizaron, and we're gonna send it back up to the host. Thanks for your time, everyone.
For that wonderful interview, Keizaron and Nuclear. Looking forward to that Skyrim run. And as always, we have some wonderful donations coming in. We have a $200 donation from iFold6 saying, looking forward to the Skyrim run. Good luck to all future runners. We have a $25 donation from Kelsey saying, love GDQ. Good luck to all runners. Donation is going towards Crate First for tomorrow's Metroid race. Yo, 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 yo. Hashtag Team Nice. We have a $25 donation from Mkin Frog saying, loving the event so far. Money goes to the Hades incentive because how do you speedrun that game? We have a $25 donation from Monkey saying, yay, Hades, let's get that bonus run. Yes, let's. We also have a $5 donation from the Hoff saying, I look forward to GDQ every year, so I'm glad I'm able to donate. Let's get that Hades incentive met. And looks like we're ready for our next run. So here is Cropax with Dark Messiah of Might and Magic Any %. Take it away.